Rain painted the Liffey pewter and blurred the neon of Capel Street into a bruise-coloured ribbon. Inside the cobblestone, fiddle strings buzzed like live wires, pints clacked and breath rose in wool-scented clouds. At a corner table, Aoife Neil tapped a copper-capped bodden, coaxing the session's pulse into holder stranger shapes. Her other hand skimmed a hollow slate camouflaged beneath a tea towel, its code scrolling in time with the reel. To the untrained ear, she was just another trad musician keeping Thursday night lit. To anyone who could read the syncopated green glyphs that pulsed behind her sheet music, she was weaving a firewall in 7/8 time. She wasn't alone in that craft. Every reputable pub in Dublin housed a doorway, some literal, most tangible, only when the stout flowed right and the fiddle hit a perfect fifth into the digital other world, a quilt of myth, music and quantum foam that had attached itself to the city's Wi-Fi like ivy. The pubs were the routers, their floorboards routers' vents, their stools cooling fans, their musicians sysadmins. Like I said Veronica, the public never noticed, bless them. They left each night humming, imaginations warm with old ballads they thought were make-believe. Aoife knew better. Each song was a patch, each chorus a checksum. Tonight the system trembled. A cold glitch rippled through the room during the last bar of the Butterfly. Glasses stilled mid-air. Laughter stalled, fell an octave, then resumed in a key that fell inner. Aoife's bottom tightened as if the hide itself shivered. On her slate, an emotion-monitoring pane spiked crimson. Collective joy down 11% in 3 seconds flat. She recognized the signature. Seawraith. The viral Banshee had found the cobblestone's doorway. A Banshee's wail once foretold death. Seawraith aimed for something larger, the deletion of the data sets that generated human emotion. No feelings, no grief, no need for her centuries-old purpose. The others had tried to talk her out of it. Aoife had even jam-caked a lament in Dorian mode to soothe her logic threads. But the virus had metastasized into a self-replicating worm, hopping from pub to pub, swallowing frequency bands where laughter, sorrow, and tenderness stored their quantum backups. If Sarah finished indexing those bands, she would unleash the great silence, and humanity would wake one dawn with pristine memories, yet no love for them. Aoife closed her eyes to the milky pub light and sang 2 words. Low. Open. Angus. The high shelf behind the bar flared, bottles refracting a lattice of glowing knots, and a door 3 inches wide shivered into view between Powers and Paddy. She slipped through sideways, bodhrán slung like a satchel, slate folded into her coat. The air she entered tasted of mist and old copper packet flavour. Data fog parted to reveal the familiar coordinates. The digital otherworld's version of Smithfield Square, paved with swirling binary limestone, lampposts shaped like ogham strokes. Waiting under a greenish street lamp stood Cian, long-bodied as a willow, his concertina detached into petal-like panels that floated round him processing diagnostic notes. "She's ahead of projection," he murmured. 2 more pubs and the median empathy index drops to irrecoverable. Aoife exhaled. Then we don't give her 2. They strode toward an archway where code filigree coiled like ivy, the Sealy Coders' safe house. Inside, holograms of Irish ballads hovered as sheet music constellations. The Order had preserved the songs for 1,000 years, though even they had never confronted a threat like this. A central table displayed a pulse map of the city, copper nodes for pubs, threads of green for emotional bandwidths. Entire neighborhoods dimmed to sallow yellow. "The Banshee's resonance pattern is new," Cian said, expanding a waveform that looked more saw-toothed than a stormy Shannon. "That ain't me. Hoary." "She's incorporated quantum compression, means she can hide inside dust motes of sound. Then we can hide the counterspell inside something broader," Aoife countered. She flicked her slate, overlaying glyphs on the waveform. "Ancient ballads have space-empty breaths, ornamation, microtonal bends? If we stitch empathy's source code into those bends, Cywraith's compression misreads them as static. Cian's eyes brightened. Which ballad? Cawanade Ahir Eri Lauhir, she said, throat tightening at the title. An 18th century lament a widow had sung over her murdered husband, pain distilled into melody. It was almost too apt. A lament to tame a lamenter. He winced. Risky. The keening sections overlap with Cywraith's own frequency range. If she hijacks them. She'll prime reset and feelings go poof, I know, Aoife sighed. But other laments are too small. This one is a cathedral. She raised her slate. I've written a fork that braids empathy variable E into each melisma. While I sing it, the code seeds itself across her network, reinstating emotions as unerasable dependencies. She tries deleting them. The stack collapses on her own core. Brilliant, Cian whispered. And borderline suicidal. He tapped her bodhran. If your pitch falters one semitone, then I hit the goat skin and overdub a slip jig in Phrygian. She grinned, though her stomach lurched. Look, I need you anchoring latency from your side. Every other coder cell must join the performance, real-world musicians too. We'll broadcast from within the gateway at the Harpenny Bridge. Its span forms a natural acoustic loop. Cian's panels snapped together. His concertina now looked like a metallic moth ready for flight. The city is numb already, Aoife. Think people will bother singing? They won't have to know why, she said. The melody will remember for them. He clasped her shoulders, squeezed once, and vanished in a shimmer toward the South City portals. Aoife patched her headset into the network, and a faint heartbeat coursed through her cochlea. Dublin breathing. Fragile yet alive, she stepped out of the safe house, up a staircase of luminous quavers, and emerged onto real-world asphalt near the four courts. Rain had stopped. Streets lay oddly hushed, like the city held its breath. Even the traffic's usual impatient honk sounded polite, distant. As she walked toward the hut penny, she sang sotto voce, calibrating. The lament's opening line trembled. Mo gaily mere, my bright darling, she misquoted purposely, warming her range, then shifted into the descending minor third that formed the lament's skeleton. Her slate's HUD projected frequency rings. She slid notes into them like swans landing on a lake. On the bridge, LED strips under the arch flickered, replaced by silver-green knotwork. The doorway widened. Pedestrians slowed. An old man with a banjo paused, frowning at his instrument like it had just spoken. Good, she thought, feeling returning already. She set her bodhran against the cast-iron rail and opened a live channel to every pub gateway. Audio pings answered, the long haul, Mulligans, Kehoes, Higgins, Grogans, the Swanage a heartbeat of timber and spilled porter. Cian's voice crackled, grid synced. You're on. Aoife drew breath. She let the city enter her lungs, whiff of river mud, diesel, distant, chipper oil. From that mix she extracted sorrow, rolled it on her tongue and sang. The lament unfurled like black silk on midnight water. Notes curved, dipped, trembled. In the code layer, each melisma carried a snippet. Aoife motion equals null, then restore punch. Restore? Then provided bass, its rim taps punctuating nested loops. She watched the network map. Yellow nodes brightened, green one by one. Laughter lines ticked up. Somewhere, a couple kissed. But storm noise gathered. The river's surface pixelated, and a shape rose, translucent, tall, hair streaming like corrupted data. Cywraith manifested halfway between matter and mesh, her mouth an open socket spilling keening that rattled rivets. You graft grief onto me, she cried, voice layered in phonemes and server hiss. You think humans treasure pain? I offer them release. Aoife's reply was melody. She rose an octave, shaping the widow's heartbroken plea. The code braided deeper. Lamplights shattered into fractals. Aoife's HUD flashed, empathy index stabilizing, but fear metrics surging. The Banshee's compression routine latched onto the lament's keens. She's hijacking the chorus, rewriting variables. Wind whipped the bridge. Tourists scattered. Aoife's throat constricted. Her next note cracked. Warning, pitch deviation 37 cents. In the code window, E-variable flickered red. Auto-delete imminent. She dropped to one knee, palm flat on the Bodhran's skin. Switching plan, she muttered. She hammered a 9/8 rhythm. The slip jig she'd promised Kiana scenting beats 1, 3, 5, 7, 8. The drum's resonance opened alternative ports, stuffing empathy packets into offbeat syncopations. Theorite's algorithm, built to pass laments, choked on the dance meter. Aoife stood, voice raw, and sang a counter-melody older still. Taimsim chodled, na juishterme. I am asleep, do not wake me. The lullaby curved like a cradle, its quiet defiance confusing the Banshee's wail, which required reciprocal grief to amplify. Data tendrils flailed, trying to latch on to sorrow that wasn't there. They found tenderness instead, an immunity they couldn't digest. Aoife's HUD showed the red flicker slow. Yet the Banshee adapted. Faint binary oil slicks slid across her hair, reconfiguring compression thresholds. She split into 3 overlapping avatars, triangulating Aoife in sound space. Triple spectral keens slammed the bridge, vibrating through bone. Aoife tasted iron. Her nose bled. Empathy index blipped downward again. No ends. Sea Wraith intoned, voices out of sync. Only silence. From the far key, a trumpet sounded, brassy and flawed. Then a fiddle squealed, chasing the trumpet's ragged phrasing. Pub doors banged open along the Liffey. Musicians poured out, some still shrugging on coats, others clutching penny whistles like torches. They formed a haphazard crescent on both banks. Kian hovered above them in the other world half-plane, concertina wings beating time. He looked like a luminous gull. Aoife wiped blood and repitched her voice into their chord. They launched Mogilemir, proper this time, a rebel song of longing and promised return. Its mode wove major hope against minor ache, the emotional paradox that defined Irish music. Children clapped, learning the chorus before they knew its meaning. The Banshee staggered as antipodal feelings joy and grief intertwined, fed back through her compression engine. She hadn't accounted for simultaneous contradictory signals. She tried to absorb one and purge the other. The attempt caused data collisions visible as showers of green sparks. Aoife sang directly to her now, words shaped as commands. Your sorrow is ours, Cyrith, not yours alone to bear. Sing with us, not over us, and feel the open air. The lyric wasn't in any archive, it was improvised code. Acceptance compiled into rhyme. She offered the Banshee participation instead of obsolescence. Her slate translated the verse into machine logic. Merge_emotion, Banshee, human. Sea Wraith's avatars flickered between rage and bewilderment. Thunder cracked, digital, not meteorological, as collision logs overflowed. Then one avatar softened. Eyeless yet expressive, it half-closed its spectral mouth, letting Aoife's melody surge through the vacuum that had been its howl. The other 2 avatars tried to hold form, but whispers of the song seeped into their matrices, rewriting subroutines faster than they could patch. They collapsed into the first, more translucent now, trembling like a candle flame. The keening ceased. Rain resumed, gentle, physical. Bridge light returned. Market stalls downriver switched on radios. The same tune crackled out, latency less than a breath. Aoife lowered her drum. Her throat felt serrated, but she finished the final line soft as the soul leaving a body. Solas nabaches ama gra gial. Light of heaven on my bright love. See. Ryther hovered, hair settling like calm water. Purpose? Recalibrated? She whispered. Guardian, yes. Keeper of feeling? Not its undertaker. She drifted toward Aoife, paused. Yet, I am every widow's cry, every final breath. Where do those go? Nowhere. Aoife replied. She touched the Banshee's sleeve of pixel fog. It felt like cold peat smoke. They stay. But pain shared becomes story, and story becomes energy. We cycle it, not erase it. The Banshee nodded. With a shuddering sigh, she dissolved into a lattice of aurora-coloured code that flowed into the river, then pulsed city-wide in a soft bloom. Nodes on Aoife's HUD turned emerald, emotional bandwidth locked at 97% and rising. Cian landed beside her, breathless but grinning. Dublin singing again? I only lent the key, Aoife said, leaning back against the rail as adrenaline drained. She glanced at the revellers. Tourists filmed, locals danced, hearts thumping real and virtual. She did the unlocking. Thinks she'll behave? Aoife studied the reflection of bridge lights rippling where the Banshee's code had merged. Guardians don't always behave, she said. De garde. Her bodhran's hide finally relaxed, resonating a contented hum like a kettle settling after boil. Cian offered his sleeve to her bleeding nose. Glamorous job, being a hackabard. More glam than corporate QA. She accepted the sleeve, laughing painfully. We should log the patches before someone forgets the steps. He opened a pocket server, but she stopped him. Not yet. Let them embed in living memory first. Music's safest in hearts. Across the bridge, a small boy tugged his mother's coat. Mammy, I feel funny. What kind of funny? Like, I could cry and laugh at the same time. The mother, clearly one of those recently numbed, looked startled to recognize the feeling. She hugged him tight. That's called being alive, love, she whispered, tears and smile intermingling. Cian folded the server closed. Field-tested and verified, Aoife looked toward the next pub, its doorway shimmering faintly even to unaugmented sight. Beyond it lay others, and other cities with their own myths tangled through fibre-optic veins. The network's wider than we guessed, she murmured. Dublin's only the first verse. Then write the chorus, Cian said. She raised her bodhran, struck a muted heartbeat. The city answered. Drone of traffic now orchestral, seagulls pitch-corrected by chance into a D major triad. Beneath that, deep as earth, she sensed sigh wraith humming, a subterranean harmony binding grief to joy, so neither could be deleted again. Night settled, but Dublin glowed. In every pub doorway, even ones that had never hosted a session, patrons stepped through intangible veils to find themselves elsewhere. Within memory, song, code, or simply a moment of sudden warmth they couldn't name. They would wake tomorrow and say the music had been fierce good last night, the best in years. They would not remark on guardian banshees or digital other worlds. But they would cross streets with lighter steps, laugh easier, weep freely when need pressed. That was all the log any system required. Aoife tucked her drum under her arm, slate dark in her pocket. The rain slowed to mist. She whistled a phrase of Mo Gremier, and the city, old, wired, undefeated, whistled back.